Even I look like my eyebrows have disappeared in this light. What the hell? Forgot to draw them on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ABC of Paranormal Strangeness. Oh, I've got my other phone on with Renata Daniel, the famous face of Woman's Day.
Oh, I know, right? I paid a lot of money to do
Double
that.
page spread, no less. And she managed to mention me at least 3 times. I'm impressed. And myself, Anne Rekovich from Ozparatech, and together we are Frightfully Good. Welcome to tonight. We are looking at the letter X, which was a little bit of a challenge.
It was difficult, I have to say. There's not a lot to choose from for with X, so we went to the ones that were probably the simplest and easiest. And as I said to Anne, during the weekend, I went to even the Scrabble pages to try and find things with X's, and the only ones that I found were a little bit religious, so I wasn't going to go there.
That's unlike us. We normally take on anything.
Well, you are digging through to some amazing information.
You've got no idea what it is that I'm going to talk about.
Amazing information.
You're all assuming something, but it's actually not what you think it is.
Yes. So, let me just press the little golden
red
or gold-plated microphone.
So she has this down here, which is what you can't even see it because everything's so white and horrible. That records the vodcast.
Yeah. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ABC of Paranormal Strangeness with your hosts, Anne Rekovich from Ozparatech and myself, Renata Daniel from Newcastle Ghost Tours. And we are exploring in depth the letter X and all that it beholds when it comes to strange and spooky things. And as we mentioned before, there was not a lot of it around in the letter X. So I have gone for the X-Files. And Miss Anne, who is going to be doing part 2, is going to do something we'll talk about a little bit later on. But let's start with
I just forgot to say I've had a run of very unusual topics.
You decided you wanted to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, because there's nothing else.
So I'm just going with X-Files.
Yeah.
And look, hands up everyone.
I love X-Files.
Hands up everyone who has seen at least one episode of the X-Files.
Seen every episode. I own the box sets. I loved it. It's what kicked me off really in this journey.
That's strange. Because it was all really to do with UFOs.
Oh no, there was much more than UFOs.
Yeah, I know. And it went very, very weird. It went very weird after a couple of seasons. It kind of went just, as they say, it jumped the shark and went very weird.
T-Public. Mel, we've got a great collection of T-shirts from T-Public, TEEPUBLIC,
and we're going to get more. The thing about getting these T-shirts is that sometimes it takes 10 weeks to get them. So I know that I
have good news.
I put an order in before COVID, and I didn't get one until last week. So just be prepared.
Can I tell my good news?
What is your good news?
I had 2 boxes of equipment arrive today, and it's going to make a certain little Mickey very happy because my SB11s have arrived, my K2s have arrived, and that was it because I accidentally ordered extra K2s. I can't get SB7s till probably late July at this stage, maybe August, and my REM pods and millimeters that I ordered, which have been in Australia the longest, still haven't shown up, and this was the same order that went missing when I ordered it earlier this year, and I ended up having to claim insurance on it. The same freaking order. Don't know what it is. Must be X-Files.
So Grant says, I watched it up to the episode where the mutant brothers clubbed a girl hiding under the bed. Yeah, it really did some weird things. I have never really been a fan of the X-Files.
Have you heard about the X-Files game when you're watching it? You got anything on that?
No.
There's a whole drinking game based on the X-Files.
And what is that about?
Oh, every time they dropped a flashlight, you had to scull.
All right.
Every time that there was like certain things they'd say, every time they said that you'd have to scull a shot. Yeah, so there's a whole drinking game. I'll see if I can find some information on it while you're talking. It's funny.
So-
You're drunk within the first 15 minutes.
Anyway, I will read a little bit about the X-Files, only like 2 sentences, in case you've been under a rock since we're at like the 1980s or whenever it started, and you have never seen an episode. So it follows the quest of FBI Special Agents Fox Mulder, played by David Duchovny, and a
He was so
believer,
hot. I loved him so much.
a believer in supernatural phenomena, and Dana Scully, Gillian Anderson, his skeptical partner. She always looked like she had something stuck up her backside, honestly.
Maybe she did.
Their boss, FBI Assistant Director Walter Skinner, was also often involved. Beginning with season 8, another skeptic named John Doggett and Monica Reyes, a believer like Mulder, were also introduced. The overarching story, which spans events as early as the 1940s, is built around a government conspiracy to hide the truth about alien existence and their doomsday plan. Not all episodes advanced the mythology plot, but the ones that did were often set up by Mulder or Scully via an opening monologue. Most mythological elements in the X-Files relate to extraterrestrial beings, referred to by the writers as colonists, whose primary goal is to colonize Earth. Late in the series, this was revealed to have been planned for the year 2012. Wow, doesn't that show its age? My goodness. So, did you all love X-Files, or was there a point where you went, this is wrong. It is wrong. I'm going to tell you why Scully has red hair in a minute.
You know she fell pregnant in the first season. She wasn't planning to fall pregnant, and she fell pregnant very quickly, and they had to hide it. So you'll notice that in season 1, she's walking around with like big coats on and like big suitcases or portfolios and things or boxes in front of her belly as they endeavoured to hide the fact that she was so pregnant.
Wow. So, well, I'm going to tell you another 22 things you might not know about the X-Files, because let's dig deep here, guys. Let's just go where no one else wants to go. So, number 1 is the idea for the show originated with a public opinion survey. See how those
Oh, we put up little
surveys
public
good?
opinion surveys.
It could change the world. What you say it could change the world.
The Genes have had a blowout in a very unfortunate place. Ooh. Ooh. I felt a breeze.
Chris, it's the aliens.
It was after what happened to me last night.
Chris Carter's interest in the paranormal was piqued when he read Pulitzer Prize-winning writer, psychiatrist, Harvard Medical School professor John E. Mack's analysis of a 1991 Roper poll survey, which stated that at least 3.7 million Americans may have been abducted by aliens. 3.7 million Americans may have been abducted by aliens. Everyone wants to hear the story, Carter told Entertainment Weekly, a tantamount to a religious experience. Now, the next point is Chris Carter was inspired by All the President's Men. When asked about his intentions in creating the X-Files, Chris Carter told Twitch, where all the good news comes from, that I'm a child of the Watergate era, so I question authority and mistrust it. That was in my blood. One of my favourite movies is All the President's Men. Most of you are too young to know what that movie is. The most amazing thing about it, and its watchable time and again, is that we know the outcome. Watching it is where the entertainment value is. So I knew I would be exploring these things, though I didn't know I would be doing it for 9 years. Now, number 3 is very interesting. Dana Scully is partly modelled on Clarice Starling.
Oh, well, there you go.
Clarice. from The Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, that Clarice.
Carter has been vocal about his admiration for Jonathan Demme's Oscar-winning film, The Silence of the Lambs, and the influence it had on the X-Files. It's not a mistake that Dana Scully has red hair, like Clarice Starling in The Silence of the Lambs, Carter told the Smithsonian Magazine. So there you go, that's why she has red hair. Jodie Foster made a cameo appearance. In the 4th season episode Never Again, Jodie Foster, who won an Oscar in 1992 for her role as Clarice Starling, provided the voice of Betty, a homicidal tattoo. Yes, a homicidal tattoo. We better check.
Bye. It's aliens. Bye. It's going to be one of those nights. Hang on, you're going to see my hole.
What happened? Okay, let's get back. Let's get back to this because we're only up to number 4. David Duchovny pushed for Jennifer Beals to play Scully. There you go. David Duchovny and the Flashdance
Eric's
star
on the ball with this.
became acquainted when the two attended Yale. I used to see David on the street. He tried to pick me up on several occasions,
Ooh.
Beals said.
Oh, I thought it was you.
No, and I said, I'm living with somebody. Oh, what a
Hi, John.
Yeah. And then ended up taking this acting class in New York. And who walks in the door but David Duchovny? And he's like, I swear I'm not stalking you. And we became really good friends. He's a real sweetheart. Yeah, and a recovering sexaholic, but anyway. And
he used to do porn.
Yeah, and when he was doing the X-Files, he had talked to me about doing that, but I think Gillian was much better suited for the part than me. Now, Entertainment Weekly pronounced the series dead on arrival. In 1993, Entertainment Weekly said, this show is a goner, citing its genre and Friday night time slot as 2 indicators that the series wouldn't last. Well. 10 years, 10 series or however many it was later, they were still going. In real life, Scully is the believer. So David Duchovny was the skeptic, and Gillian Anderson is actually the true believer. Psychokinesis appeals to me, she said. ESP, telling the future. I love that stuff.
So just remember, we are doing the X-rated version after we do, because it's X-Files and X-rated. They all want to see David Duchovny's porn as the second segment. Okay, so
all right, then you keep
I'll get that
Googling.
ready.
Now, Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny did not get on at all. So they're tight nowadays, so they say. But during the first years of the show, and especially prior to the making of the X-Files I Want to Believe movie, which was in 2008, they really had a big dislike for each other. Maybe it was something to do with David being a sex maniac. Could possibly have been.
Oh, and Mick, the SB11s are in. Just letting you know.
Our relationship has definitely become a proper friendship over the last few years, she says. Now, Scully was written as the centre of the show.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
So while it's often stated that Carter's goal in creating Mulder and Scully was to subvert gender stereotypes, he says that it wasn't a conscious part of the plan. It just made sense to me in an instinctive way that she should be the scientist, he said. I don't know what that says about me, but I always saw it that way. It was always a man and a woman, Carter added. I'm interested in strong women characters, and for me, Scully is the centre of the show. She is the skeptic in all of us. Very interesting. Scully's character has a big influence on the television landscape. So Carter fought tooth and nail to get a woman back on television in such a central role. So this funny old series we were doing had a huge influence on the history of television in many ways, he says, from the lighting on television to the kinds of stories that were being told to the characters. The amount of things you see right now where they even just have a male and a female as investigators. Wow. And so few years ago that would just not have been happening.
Now, can I just break this up a little bit? First off, we've got a lady here who had an online reading with you, and we didn't know that she was part of an investigating team.
Yeah.
And you told her that there's a business opportunity, she's got to go for it, otherwise somebody else is going to get it.
Yeah.
It happened.
Oh.
And then she said she bought an S-Box the other night, and she now has put it all together that I'm Oz Paratech. Small world, just saying. So, how many of these have we got?
22. We're halfway through.
Oh, halfway through, because I thought it might be an opportune spot to give you the one sip options for the drinking game.
Okay, yeah. All
Right, so this is the X-Files drinking game. So to have one sip is when they flash their badges, they pull their guns, they yell each other's names in the dark. So Mulder, Scully. Mulder makes a discovery to solve the case. Scully raises an eyebrow. She does it too. Scully performs an autopsy. I think they'd be drunk within 15 minutes. Scully wears shoes that aren't heels. Mulder and Scully touch. Mulder's one-liners. Mulder ditches Scully when they yell out, Mulder, it's me, or Scully, it's me. When she goes, I'm a medical doctor. When they use their first names. When you see him eating sunflower seeds. And then I don't understand what this one's. Hopefully one of you guys can actually explain to me. The numbers 10, 13, 11, 17, and 11, 21. Not sure what they are. And then the CSM smoking. So that's the cigarette smoking man smoking. So that's just the one sips.
Wow.
I'll do 2 sips a little bit later.
So X-Files was just a reason to get absolutely drunk.
That's it. Yeah.
But I have to tell you, this is a really interesting thing because it actually says that Dana Scully's role in the X-Files inspired women all over the world who watch the X-Files to go and learn about science, to get science-based jobs.
Good on her.
Isn't that interesting? So science, technology, engineering, and maths careers. How brilliant. Now, the cigarette man was originally cast as an extra, the cigarette smoking man. Now, I don't know who he is or what
really?
No, I've got no idea.
I'll show you a photo. I'll get a photo of the cigarette smoking man. You'll know him as soon as you get to see him.
No, I won't. But the cigarette smoking man was actually cast as an extra. He was a background actor with no dialogue. At that time, neither Davis nor the producers knew he would end up becoming the show's main antagonist. There was a time when I wasn't in any of the episodes, then all of a sudden I had a line or two. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I don't know him.
Oh my God. For those playing at home, oh God, I have to get right in.
So Anne is just showing a picture of the cigarette smoking man.
To focus. Oh, lordy me. Do I go this way? I give up.
And while you have his picture, I'm going to tell you one more interesting fact. He had to actually go in and start smoking herbal cigarettes because
He didn't smoke. He actually didn't smoke.
Yeah, because it was going to kill him. So the character was very simply written, and William is called upon to carry a lot of weight of the character. He's utterly convincing even before he had words. He had looks where you could see his mind processing what he was watching, and you could see there was intelligence behind his eyes.
You knew he was running the show behind the scenes. That's how I always felt like he had the true knowledge of what was going on.
And yes, he was not a smoker. At least he wasn't when he was cast in the role. But he had been. He had kicked the habit 20 years earlier after having smoked for 25 years. Though he eventually was given herbal cigarettes to play the part, the cigarettes were real for his first few appearances.
Yeah, cancer man.
The job required him to inhale. That was the beginning to wake up some long buried desires, David said. Now, did you know that the show employed a number of scientists? Who would have thunk with the storylines that they had?
Vaping man doesn't quite sound as sinister.
So in an effort to make the series and get the science right.
Deep Throat was a different character.
We are talking about the X-Files here?
Yes.
Right, okay. The producers hired a number of scientists as consultants, including University of Maryland microbiologist Anne Simon, who was hired at the end of the first season and came back aboard for the 10th season reboot. You're not there to tell the writer, Chris, you can't have a fluke man that's half man, half worm, she explained in her role in the production, but you want to come up with something reasonable. Okay, I don't know how that would work. In addition, Carter has looked to his brother for help. He's a professor at MIT, and so I went to him for a lot of technical stuff. God.
Oh, people who do watch hospital shows, who work in hospitals, they go nuts because it's just so not accurate. So at least they're having a crack.
They're having a crack. As much as you can if you've got a half worm, half man character. Fluke man.
Yeah, so somebody else up there said that they could never go to the toilet at night again after seeing that Fluke Man one.
Oh. Mitch Pileggi, is that his name?
Yeah, Pileggi. Mitch Pileggi, yeah.
His shaved head almost cost him the role of Walter Skinner. So Pileggi auditioned 3 times to land the role of FBI Director Walter Skinner. I thought this guy, Chris Carter, either hates me or I must be a totally bad actor, Pileggi recalled. But he told me later it was because my shaved head was too extreme for an FBI agent. Now, Skinner married Scully's stand-in.
Oh, wow.
Pileggi met his wife, Arlene Warren, at work. She was Scully's stand-in. The couple married in 1997.
So do people know what stand-ins are? It's when they've got somebody who is the same height and size of the actor, the main actor, and when they're setting up scenes so they can get the lighting right, they'll put the stand-in into the position where the actor would stand so they could set the lighting and get it all organised before they bring the star out, so the star doesn't have to wait around.
Oh, okay. Right.
I've never had a stand-in.
From 1998 to 2002, Warren made a number of appearances on the show playing Skinner's assistant. There you go. So she was actually on the show as well.
Yeah, I thought Skinner was sort of a sexy-looking dude as well. And it's surprising they didn't like the balding hair. I thought it was quite cute.
This is interesting. Lucy Lawless was supposed to have a reoccurring role. So in 2001, shortly after Xena, Warrior Princess, all you young'uns have
we could have done Xena!
That's got absolutely nothing to do with the Paranormal. But you might have to look up these names of these shows in the archives, because, it might be just a little bit out of your scale of life knowledge. But anyway, Xena Warrior Princess came to an end. News broke that Lucy Lawless had signed on for the X-Files. I seem to remember something about that, actually. Though the plan was that her character, super soldier Shannon McMahon, would be a recurring one, a high-risk pregnancy forced her to bow out after appearing in just 2 episodes. On May the 7th, 2002, Lawless gave birth to a healthy baby boy, but did not return to the show. The X-Files gave birth to Breaking Bad as we know it.
Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad creator Vince Gilligan, who also helped to create The Lone Gunman, logged several years as a writer on The X-Files. Among his credits on the show is the season 6 episode Drive. And Cranston's performance stayed with Gilligan over the years and is what led to him being cast as Walter White on Breaking Bad.
Oh, I see.
You don't have to like him, Gilligan said of the character, but you need to sympathise and feel empathy and sorrow for him at the end of the hour.
Oh, thank you. Was it Katie? Thank you.
So other future Breaking Bad stars: Aaron Paul, Jesse, Dean Norris, Hank, Raymond Cruz, Tuco, Danny Trejo Tortuga, and Michael Bowen, Uncle Jack.
Please forgive our Spanish, and we've got no idea how you pronounce your words.
They also appeared on the X-Files. So there you go.
So we know that Jesus is Jesus. Now, we're up to 20, so I can slip in the two sips.
You can.
Okay, so this is the 2 sips in the drinking game of the X-Files. Scully makes a discovery to solve the case. So obviously that doesn't happen as much. Mulder loses his gun. Scully drives. Ooh, that is saying something, yep. They shoot their guns. Mulder tapes an X on the window. Mulder meets with an informant. Charlie Scully appears. That's right, the husband. That happened very rarely. Credits say something other than the truth is out there. Someone else flirts with, makes a move on Mulder or Scully. Mulder's red Speedo makes an appearance. Scully's immortality is referenced, and Mulder is referred to as spooky. Ooh. So that's the list of the 2 sips. The next ones will be the entire drink sculled.
Oh, okay. Did you know there was a pay gap between Mulder and Scully? Gillian Anderson.
Are we really surprised?
Gillian Anderson got a shitload less of money.
Yeah, are we really surprised?
Yeah, absolutely. And Carter didn't think of the show as science fiction. I actually resisted the science fiction labelling in the beginning because the show is actually based in science. If it weren't for Scully, I think the show could be kind of loopy. So the science and the accuracy of the science is all important to the success of the storytelling. I think Steven Spielberg called Close Encounters of the Third Kind speculative science, and I would say X-Files for me has always fitted more into that category. And probably just before we go into full bore, we're just going to drink the whole bottle down. A couple of things you didn't know about the whole thing. Layla Harrison, she apparently was some huge person in the X-Files.
Okay.
Layla Harrison. She appeared in 2 episodes, Scary Monsters and Alone. She mostly assisted Monica Reyes and John Doggett with their cases. Layla Harrison was actually a huge fan, and they named that character after her.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Gillian Anderson filmed standing on a box a lot. Because she is so tiny, she's 10 inches shorter than David Duchovny, and there's actually a picture of her where they are filming a scene, and she is standing on a box.
That happens quite a bit. There was the Ghost Whisperer, the lady that was, she's a little tiny petite thing, and they would often have these like row of boxes that she would walk along, and the other actor would walk down next to them, so that she was at a height that she could actually speak to people, because otherwise the height disparity would be like that. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Now this is an interesting one. They had a penis puppeteer on set.
Oh, a penis puppeteer.
So the
Why?
episode Humbug showed the agents tracking down a killer in a town in Florida that is full of sideshow performers. In real life, these performers were from a circus troupe, and one apparently could do tricks with his penis.
Oh, puppetry of the penis.
That guy could do all of those penis tricks.
Who's been to that show? Me.
But don't be too quick to go back and watch the episode. He didn't do those in the episode. They had their own show.
Oh, private show. I bet
set.
David tried to copy some of them.
Now, Anderson and Duchovny didn't understand the mythology.
Thank you, Jennifer Love Hewitt. That's who it was.
So many X-Files might really be, or filers might be into mythology, but the actors admitted they don't get it, and they often winged it. The mythology stuff I never followed, Gillian Anderson said. So they kind of weren't into that.
All right, because now how many have you got left of these now?
Just one.
Because
Yep.
I've got chug the bottle
Okay.
and entire drink.
Okay,
So
let's go.
Let's do
Let's
entire
go.
drink because there's not many.
Yep.
So you have to scull the whole glass if there is aliens on screen.
That's all the time.
If Mulder and Scully kiss,
Oh no,
that didn't happen very
didn't
often.
happen a lot. They didn't touch.
And but were the aliens actually on screen, or did they allude to the fact they were aliens? Mulder or Scully say, "I love you." Mulder and Scully confirm William's parentage without skirting around the issue. And
Didn't they have an alien child? Didn't she, right at the end, get pregnant and have an alien child?
but it turned out to be Mulder's, I think. I'm not sure. A major character death, which is not Mulder or Scully. So that's the entire drink. Then after Renata's finished, I'm going to give you chug the bottle.
Okay, the very creepy episode Home shows Mulder and Scully coming across an inbred family living on a farm in Pennsylvania.
I think I did a movie like that.
The episode was so scary that it got a TVMA rating, which made it the first network television episode in America to do so.
Wow.
And the last one, Duchovny and Carter sued Fox. So first, Duchovny sued Fox in 1999, claiming its syndication deal with FX cheated him out of potential royalties, and Chris Carter took the deal to keep it quiet. It ended with a settlement, and the actor went back to work on the show. In 2006, Carter then filed a lawsuit against 20th Century Fox Television for failing to honour their agreement for sharing profits from syndication. So it's always this thing, we're just going to keep the money and stuff you all.
Yeah.
So any other drinking bits?
Yes,
of that?
now the final couple of ones in the drinking game, the X-Files drinking game, you chug the bottle if Mulder and or Scully die.
Did they ever die?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've seen all of the very final season.
Because you can die and come back in these things. So.
Mulder and Scully sex scene. And the real William returns. That's it.
Okay, well, we hope you enjoyed the X-Files version of the X of the ABC of Paranormal Strangeness. And very shortly, we are going to be back for the second part.
Which means I now have to try and find the notes, which I had opened and have now totally disappeared on me.
So what did you get in the mail today? What bits of equipment? You got SB11s?
And K2s,
and K2
essentially.
meters. So anyone out there who wants an SB11?
I haven't put them on the website yet. I've got 20 billion K2s, and I've got 4 SB11s, and at least one of those is spoken for Mick. So just let me open up my attachment, as you do. So normally I have this printed out on paper, but I just had a series of unfortunate events happening with computers and printers, and then my granddaughter was not well enough to go to daycare, so I've had her all day. So I am horribly unprepared, but I do have a strange tale to tell. So welcome to the second half of the ABC of Paranormal Strangeness, letter X, as we head into X-rated. Now, we thought, as we were driving the other day, I can't remember where we were
going up the mountain to see the wombats.
Oh, that's right. And I said to her, there's got to be X-rated paranormal. Surely there is. There's porn on everything on the internet. Let's look it up. And so, of course, there was a few things that popped up. I said, all right, well, let's do it. I'll do X-rated paranormal. So when I actually went to research it, there actually wasn't a huge amount. There's one called X-rated, which was The Stars. It's a book on the stars and their paranormal tales. There's nothing X-rated about it.
Oh, wasn't
it? Disappointing. Really disappointing. There was a story about, and I don't know if I can get this up.
Kesha wasn't on there?
No, there is, and I'm not sure if we're still on. I'll go to
We are still on.
Yeah, I know, to the screen share. The screen share. Let me get onto... it's here somewhere.
Don't worry, our
Did it work? Did that work? Can you all see that? No? Ooh, you still hear me talking?
Maybe Anne and Renata Good might be able to find the X-rated paranormal.
There we are.
Of Hollywood.
That's the X-rated paranormal of Hollywood. So all it is these people like Telly Savalas, Roger Moore, telling their story. So that was really quite disappointing.
They're all dead except for Sylvester Stallone. He's still here.
I still doubt that he's.
He's so.
Yeah. All right. And then we found this one, which I thought you would really love, from Romania with Love, and it's back to the vampires.
Right.
Revolves around the story, but it goes on to down here that she is she's part of the congregation of the local church in Cluj-Napoca. We've
We
been
were there.
there.
We may have walked past that actual church.
Yeah, so it talked about Cluj, and it was actually quite a boring storyline. I went, oh, so much for that. So I'll just get out of that screen share.
So where are we going, Anne? Where are we going?
I
with this?
found a strange tale of an X-rated haunting.
Oh, okay.
And in actual fact, this is from the BBC Future. So it's a legit story by Matthew Tompkins on the 25th of October 2016.
Not so long ago.
No, that's when the story was written. But it's referring to a parapsychologist who ran an experiment.
Can we do this at the jail?
You can try. So let me just scroll down a little bit here. Excuse my breathing and wheezing. In 1960, a Cambridge parapsychologist dressed in a bedsheet and attempted to haunt the audience of an X-rated film.
Right.
His bizarre experiment accidentally explored the limits of human perception to reveal one of our mind's strangest quirks.
Oh, I'm interested.
I know, right? I
just sucked
found
me in.
a really good story. On the 28th of May, 1960, at precisely 7:40 p.m., A.D. Cornell, I'll get it right eventually, Cornell, valiantly attempted to haunt a cinema audience who was sitting down to enjoy an X-rated film. Before emerging from the shadows, Cornell draped himself in a white muslin sheet.
Muslin.
Muslin?
Muslin.
I didn't say an M on the end. Muslin. I've always called it muslin. Blame my mother. She was a seamstress. She's got it wrong. The fabric covering him from head to toe. Then he emerged before the unsuspecting audience, right, dressed in the sheet coming out, was bathed in the light from the projector,
And no one saw him.
moved in front of the screen from the left over to the right, and back again for science. Now, Cornell was a Cambridge-based parapsychologist, which means he has a degree in psychology and was doing the extra.
And it's not a weekend course.
No, I was conducting experiments in apparitional experiences. In his reports, he tactfully accepts the contentious premise that the spirits of the dead may literally walk amongst us as physical apparitions. His experiment did not directly address this question. Rather, he tried to artificially induce the experience of seeing real ghosts so that he could observe how people reacted to this unexpected and apparently normal experience. So for me, dressing up in a white sheet is not a normal real ghost anyway.
No.
All right, I should have used my Ventolin before I started this. So Cornell's reports have been previously aired in Mary Roach's Spook and Richard Wiseman's Paranormality as an experiment psychologist studying human attention, and they found them intriguing. Now, let me just jump down there. Simulated haunting initially seemed to be unlike anything I've previously encountered. His methods were unorthodox, his conclusions were dubious. However, by the time they'd finished, they'd come to the delightful absurd realisation that his designs had inadvertently anticipated developments in cognitive psychology by nearly half a century. So he's jumped forward the field by trying to see what people were going to do in this X-rated film with a ghost.
Wow.
So, let me just get down. Apparently, before getting back to that cinema, let's consider Cornell's two preceding experiments. Initially attempted to haunt a cow pasture near King's College. A 4.5 minute a ghost walk was carefully choreographed. He would crawl behind a small mound. He sounds like a nutter. Wrap himself in a white sheet and abruptly stand up as if he were appearing from nowhere. Oh, look, a ghost. He would then stroll to the next mound before vanishing by diving to the ground. So he was trying to pop up like he just appeared and disappear as quickly. Dress rehearsal seemed to confirm that appearances and different disappearances were sudden and startling. He stationed research assistants along the path to observe unsuspecting bypasses. Sorry, I'm getting hot. Oh, God, I have to use my husband's laptop. So he conducted 6 walks in total. And apparently approximately 80 bypasses went by, giving an indication of having noticed nothing at all.
Yeah.
Not a thing. So this thing is appearing and walking back and forth. 80 people were there to witness it.
Yep.
They didn't witness it. They didn't see it.
Didn't see a thing.
All right, so I'm going to just skip because there's a lot of stuff there. So he thought that the thing to do would be, to go into the cinema. It's a little bit more controlled. Hang on. He did another one where 142 people would have been able to witness the apparition. But only 4 people gave any indication that they witnessed it out of 142. The first person described the apparition. Now, this is really important for paranormal investigators, right? The first person described the apparition as a man dressed as a woman who surely must be mad. Another assumed that it was an art student walking about in a blanket. 2 witnesses, when questioned together, did realise that the experimental apparition was probably intended to simulate a paranormal event, but then went on to note that the effect was spoiled because we could see his legs.
Wow.
Yeah. So look, people were seeing different things, which I thought was interesting as well. Okay, so back to the cinema. Cornell argued... one of those things was in a graveyard. Still determined to introduce paranormal experience, he wrote his next experiment needed to take into account 2 important considerations. His first consideration was a practical one. He wanted to present the experimental apparition in a place where the spectators could be focusing their attention. Mm-hmm. His second consideration was an ethical one. Cornell wrote that he had grown concerned about the potential for experimental apparition to traumatise children. Mm-hmm. So he specifically selected an X-rated film to safeguard against the risk of children being there.
And of course, everyone was so intense in what was happening on the screen, no one saw anything.
Yeah, they all had their tissues in their laps. Oh dear. I think I've cut and pasted these all out of order. Anyway. So apparently, the experiment was another failure. None of the audience reported anything remotely paranormal. Many saw nothing. 46% of the respondents had failed to notice that there was an experimental apparition.
Wow.
When he first passed in front of the screen. 32% remained completely unaware of it. Mm-hmm. Even the projectionist, whose job was to watch for anything unusual, reported he had completely failed to notice the apparition. Those that did see something were not particularly accurate in their descriptions. One person reported seeing a woman in a coat. Another thought they saw a polar bear. Another believed they had observed a fault in the projector. Only one person accurately described a man dressed in a sheet pretending to be a ghost. Cornell ultimately concluded that such failures to see should be attributed to an absence of the subtle psi factor or telepathic stimulation. No, there was porn on the TV. They weren't even looking. They were so focused on what they wanted to see.
Yeah, but you've also got to take into account the other experiments that he did, and this has been done over and over again.
Yeah, I've got another one,
yeah.
Another more recent one in 1998. Now this, I've actually got a picture of this one as well. So there's an experiment called the lurking gorilla.
Yes, that's the one Yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Yep. So what it was is they had, it's called inattentional blindness. Mm-hmm. They had a group of people in white T-shirts, had a group of people in black T-shirts, and they wanted people to count how many times the ball was passed from a white T-shirt to a black T-shirt. And at the end of it, they reported their numbers, and then somebody said, "Did you see the gorilla?" Mm-hmm. And they're going, "There's no gorilla." There was a gorilla. Mm-hmm. So let me get the screen sharing.
I've seen this. This is amazing. If you're not told, and even if you're told, because you're told what to look for, you miss everything else.
And this is really important when it comes to
Ghost hunting.
yeah, ghost hunting. There it is.
Now, how can you miss that? That's pretty ugly, pretty awful.
Yep.
And he comes on and he walks through. I think he actually stands there and kind of does this as well.
Yep.
And no one sees him.
And we were actually going to do this as part of our talk that we were going to do when
In
we
America.
were in America, because we were going to be speaking on the deceiving mind. And we were going to do exactly something like that, where we got somebody to walk across, you know, dressed as something and do something, and then at the end of it, get people to tell us what they saw, and see how many people actually saw it, and how varied the descriptions were of what they did see, because the witness, people's eyewitness accounts. Like, everyone can see the same thing. 100 people can watch an incident happen, and you can get 100 different versions of it.
Yep.
So who's right?
Well, you're right in your perception, but that may not mean that you are actually factually right, because your brain has to then try and interpret the information that it has gathered from that particular scene, and depending on a whole stack of biases and what we've learned, our education, where we have been brought up, how well our body works, how well our eyes work, will determine what we actually see, and then what is translated in the brain.
So this is something that is referred to as inattentional blindness. I mean, you don't mean to miss it, but you just do, because you've been told to focus somewhere else. And it has potentially have important implications for real world domains like security, advertising, traffic safety, eyewitness testimony. And I think a person who's very good at directing you to see only what you want to see is Darren Brown. Is that his name? Darren? If you haven't seen his shows on Netflix yet, strongly suggest you watch them. It will blow your mind what he is able to do by directing your attention to something that you don't even realize you're taking in the information, and then he can get you to produce what he wants you to produce based on the information he has fed to you. So that was it. That was my X-rated, and it wasn't rude at all.
That was very good, though. Very interesting.
So I'm sorry I was a little bit stumbling over myself there, but as I said, I didn't get much chance to practice.
But this has implications for people who go on tours and investigations as well, because part of what you always talk about is the front loading.
Yeah,
and
which is also called top downing.
Yeah, so you can go into a site and there may be a guide or someone who is saying to you, now we have had the grey nurse who always appears, and this is how she appears. She comes from this side and she goes along there, and she's always dressed in grey, and she has white hair, and she looks as if she's floating along. And so the guide takes you on this story, and you are so absorbed by what is happening, you are not noticing anything else. Now, there will be a certain percentage of people in the crowd who will then go, yes, I see her, I see her. And then there will be those that are just listening in and are not perceiving anything else. And then there'll be us standing in the background going, what's going on? And we're not listening at all.
Yeah, that's one thing I've found since becoming a paranormal investigator is I have learned to see more.
Yes.
I'm more observant of what is going on in the room, and I think that someone who's not conditioned to look for explanations won't see everything. And I've had some people say to me, "Oh, you're so observant." And I thought, well, no, it's just because I've trained myself to look for what is truly going on, instead of assuming that what I see that's all there is to see.
Absolutely. So when you do psychic development, your mentor or your teacher should be training you to be observant. And that is the problem we have when we take people into sites and we just say to them, just sit quietly and look around and see what is going on. Because for them, that is not enough information to keep them focused. To give them that time to actually look by themselves and to take in information is too much of an ask, because the mobile tells them what to look at every single moment they are staring at it. And for you to go, I'm just going to look and take everything in, your eyeballs going, holy shit, I don't see anything. I'm bored.
Yep.
And then they go, well, oh, there's no ghost. Hasn't appeared. It's been 2 minutes. I'm in here. Where's the ghost? And you are just not going to get anywhere if you do not extend your psychic abilities, your abilities to sense and hear and smell and see, observe, listen. It's not going to get you anywhere. So this is very interesting, and yes, very, very true. Most of the people out there who would be placed into this type of environment would completely miss the gorilla.
And there was a show that Moonlark Media did, I think it was called Phasmophobia.
Phasmophobia,
Or
yes.
it might have been the one before that, where they took people who weren't involved in the paranormal, they were, it's like to call them the normals, and took them into a reportedly haunted location and gave them a night vision camera, and they had to go in and explore the building on their own and walk through the building. I'm not sure if they had to find something in there and then come back out or what it was, but they had a paranormal team that was in there doing things to heighten their the
noise,
the fear of the person that was going through. They were deliberately doing that, and the people didn't know that. And there was one room where one of the investigators realised that the contestant, so to speak, was coming in with the camera, so he's flattened himself up against a wall and just tried to stay out of the road, and they've come into the room, and because they're that terrified, they're not looking. They're just looking at that little screen. And like, I've seen people do this on ghost tours. They'll go past cells and they won't look, just in case there's something there. And he actually stood there and they never saw him. And when I watched that, they said at the end, they said, go back and watch that part and you'll see him there. And I had missed him standing there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing because, theoretically what your brain is doing is it's filtering all the information you get, and the only information that stays in the brain long enough as you're going through moment by moment by moment is the amount of information that is required for you to be safe and secure. So your brain is filtering all the other garbage out. It's impossible for it to be in that moment and you noticing everything. It still sees it, it just stores it. And all you are taking in is, what do I need right now to be safe, secure, and get me from point A to point B? And it's crazy. These types of experiments are really cool, and they're fantastic. If you're in groups and you want to practice something, then this is a really great thing to practice.
Where are you, Karen? Karen said she'd love to meet both of us. Where are you based, Karen? We'll come to you. We're trying to get out of our homes.
So close.
Anywhere.
We are so close to being able to go. So close. And there are so many things coming up.
Oh, there are so many things coming up.
We just can't say anything at the moment. And plus, we also have to wait for things to open up.
Our heads are actually exploding a little bit with how much is coming up.
So close.
Yes. And we know that the Q Station documentary has been finished and it's past quality control, and I think they're doing a premiere somewhere, so we'll find out whether there's tickets that people can come to watch the premiere. Oh my god, that could be terrifying. I think I want to watch it by myself first.
I'll be sitting in the back going, I don't know, I don't want to see it, because I'll probably
apparently it's getting very good feedback because it's unlike any other paranormal show that's been out there before. So
I've been teased for so long.
yeah.
I just can't.
And I'm in all 4 episodes because I'm a camera whore.
Anyway, guys, thank you so very, very much for this evening. We are on to why July next week, and we are so close to
Yay!
the finish of the ABC of Paranormal Strangeness, but we will be back with more strangeness on a deeper and darker
We're going
level.
dark.
We're going dark. So thank you all for watching tonight. Remember that we have Tarot Thursday at 7:30 this Thursday on Frightfully Good and everywhere else that we are live streaming to. And don't forget, if you do not have tickets, are they my, yes, they're my glasses fogged up. Sorry.
Because she's sitting next to me. I'm so hot.
If you have not bought that looks really strange. If you have not bought tickets for our online paranormal conference, June 11th and 12th, all of our speakers are now booked in and lined up. We have 6 speakers each day, and
we've got mind mapping, some UFO stuff, and
fantastic stuff,
haunted stories from all over Australia. And Karen, go and visit Renata at Witch and Willow on Wednesday, Thursdays between 10 and 2, or
Ishkar Cardiff on Friday and Saturday, 10 and 2. Yes, so buy your tickets to the online paranormal conference on the Frightfully Good page or on the Australian School of Ghost Hunting. It is the first link, the pinned link you can click on. Tickets start at $10, and we are also fundraising for Where Pigs Fly and the beautiful Cedar Creek Wombat Hospital. We were there yesterday, and it was just gorgeous.
Yeah, we've just finished, Karen, sorry. We start 7:30 on Monday nights and 8:30 on Thursday nights. The tarot show is jump on, ask a question, and we try to answer as many people as we can. Some people were asking what that was about. And if you want a private reading with Renata, book through LuckyPsychic.com or through Witch and Willow.
Yes, at Warners Bay. And if you have just joined us, just go right back to the very beginning.
You can watch it again.
And you'll be able to watch it again. So there you are. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Love you as
Love
usual.
You all.
See you on the dark side.
Bye.